Welcome to Inspired Living with Carrie Murphy, the podcast, where as your host each and every week, I am going to inspire you and empower you to share your message and step into that big vision you see for yourself. I'll be bringing you celebrity interviews, influencer insights, and my personal tips from decades as an on-camera talent, TV host, media expert, and entrepreneur, so you can build a brilliant seven-figure brand. Because when you're inspired, you inspire others. So let's go. I have to admit, one of the things that drives me a little nuts right now is how easy everyone makes it seem to grow and build a multi-seven-figure business. And it's one thing to do it maybe in one industry, but it's something entirely different to do it in 6 different industries. And I've known Debbie Allen, or I've known of Debbie for quite some time. I feel like we've been in mutual circles and I've always admired the work that she does. So when we finally met, it was like soul sisters unite. And her story is just amazing. From investing in her family's business at just 19 to becoming a self-made millionaire at 32, she really shares what the key attributes and characteristics were to building multiple million-dollar businesses, as well as being a 9-time best-selling author. You know, Debbie has weathered many storms, has built incredibly successful businesses before social media is what it is today. And I just love her insight, her knowledge, and her really no holds bar attitude. As she says, get over yourself. Get over yourself. Your vision is so much bigger than you. And just like I share that being on camera is not about you, your business is really relying on you stepping into your vision and believing in yourself. So if you need a little bit of that today, you are going to love this interview with Debbie Allen. Debbie Allen, welcome to the show. I am so excited to have you today.
I can't stand it. I'm so excited that we got to meet each other and we're hanging out more now.
I know.
Yes, we followed each other like you kind of peer. This is what we do online. You kind of look around and go, hey, I know that person, but I don't really know her. So now we know each other and we're doing cool stuff together. So I'm loving that.
I love it too. And I think that's kind of really where things are going right now is collaboration and who can you really connect with. And we do very similar things, but we do different things and getting rid of competition. And Debbie, I've heard your name for so many years, and I'm just so grateful that we've finally been able to come together and share your expertise. I mean, reading through your bio and stalking you online and hearing about you for years, you really are the expert of experts. I mean, you don't hold that title lightly. And there's so much we can talk about, but what kind of really came out for me when I was reading through everything and doing my due diligence before our time together is 19, you invested in your family's businesses. So I have 2 questions for you. One is, where did you get the money? And 2 is, what gave you the confidence at that young age? I know your parents were entrepreneurs, but to say, you know what, I want to invest in this too and create kind of my own identity within the businesses.
Well, that's a great question because I look back and I go, I don't know where I had the courage. I don't know where that came from because my dad was a car salesman for 25 years. He had just started this business. And my brother was a couple years older than me. So he started after high school. And I was like, hey, I want to be part of this. Like, I was always stuck in school. Like, I didn't want to be there. There was something that I've always had a passion for learning business and seeing behind the scenes. And again, I don't know where that really came from. I mean, it's just getting out of class in school or something. I don't know. But I would work in the principal's office all the time. And, I would shine there. When it come to grades and other things, forget it. So I would take the school bus to my new family business, which was a car rental business outside of Gary, Indiana. If you know anything about that, besides where Michael Jackson was born, it is not a safe place to be. It was like a drug war. And these are our customers that we are repossessing cars from after we rent them.
Wow.
It was a tough place to grow up. You said, how'd you have the money to invest? It was like, wasn't really saving my lunch money or anything like that. But I remember it's just, at 19, I think it was there, maybe I was working a year there by then. I started seeing the business grow. We went from 5 cars to 10 cars to 20 cars. I could see it growing. I could see that, my brother had invested into it. And I went, okay, I got to be part of this ride. I don't want to just collect a paycheck. So I think that was
right. I want ownership, dang it.
Right. Yeah. Hell yeah. And like, like my dad always felt like, well, you're a girl, like you're like the worker bee, like, you're not gonna be the
Ah,
successful one, and that was his generation. And I understand that,
sure.
he never knew that, the woman could be the leader of that. And so I took part of my paycheck every week and I bought into the business. And then we built that from 5 cars to 250 cars and campers and everything, like all kinds of stuff. I can't even tell you all the different businesses we built within that. And then we built a mini storage business. We were the first people in Northwest Indiana to do that. And I remember, the lessons you learn. Now, there are lessons I
Mm.
learned from my parents, who were my first mentors, basically my dad. My mom was there, but she was working kind of part time. But my dad would do things that were really off the chain, like, don't do this in business. So I learned what not to do. Like when he would make money, he'd throw it into another business and kind of gamble, right? It's like, don't do that. Focus. Focus is my thing.
Don't do what I'm doing.
Yeah, right. Don't do that. And so I learned from that. But then I also learned some things that he did do that were real gutsy. Like I remember he would go to the bank and he would ask for money to put up this mini storage. And every banker, Carrie, he went to like 5 bankers. I was embarrassed for him. Like, because you're embarrassed at your parents at a certain ages, right?
Right.
Like, oh my God, can't you take no for an answer, Dad? And it's like, he's like, no, I believe in this, and I said, well, I don't get it. Why do we need these storage buildings? And he said, get in the car. He'd take me around. He'd show me all these apartment buildings. And he's like, where do you think these people put all their stuff? We got a basement, we got a garage. You don't understand. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that people need places for their stuff. And so, he kept going, and one bank finally gave him the business and, the loan, but he didn't give him all the loans. So then I saw like do whatever it takes attitude. Like, so my brother and him were out there
Yes.
hanging garage doors and pouring concrete while I'm running the car rental business. And I'm thinking, that's another huge lesson in business. Do whatever it takes.
Mhm.
And then also focus. Don't keep doing lots of different things. And I think those are the 2 key things I learned growing up as an entrepreneur at such a young age.
I love that so much. Focus, right? Focus on something. And then I know it sounds so easy. Just don't give up. Just keep going. When the door shuts, keep knocking at it. And yet I think for a lot of people, Debbie, that's really hard to do. So what took you to the place where you finally said, the family business is great, but I want to venture out on my own and go into retail? I'm like,
Yeah. What does that
what I
have to
love
do
about
with
your story
for
is
car
all
rentals?
the different industries and businesses you've been in, because I think so often we learn from coaches who have been in the coaching business their whole life, or we,
Yeah.
learn from realtors, or we learn from people who have done the same thing for a very long time. And that is not your story. You have been in a lot of different industries over the span of your life. So tell me about that, how you forlayed from like the business in your family to saying, and was that hard for you to let go of and to go out on your own? And what was that like at that
Yeah.
time? Because I'm
It,
going to assume there was some risk involved with taking that leap there.
it was risky, and it was also pissing some people off. It was like, my dad he wasn't happy because it's like we ran the business. He got to play. And here we
Mhm.
are in our 20s. Picture this, Carrie, like in your 20s. I know you did a lot starting with media very early on in your age. So you're well beyond your years. You could get it. But a lot of people when they're in their 20s, they're pretty clueless, and we were running this huge car rental business and this mini storage business, and everything was so stressful. And it was when you'd have different phone lines, and we would pick up like, their lines are just lighting up, and it's like,
Hold, please. Yeah.
yeah, right. And then you want this and you want this. And it was like this, And so you could do that when you were 20s. I've learned to multitask, another amazing skill that I'm very good at. But then it was like, I didn't fall into this business because I loved it. And I thought, I can't leave and get a job because I've never applied for a job in my entire life. Like that
Yeah.
terrifies me to fill out an application and apply for a job. Oh, build $1 million business, piece of cake.
Right.
It just
Apply for a job? Hell
no,
no. Right.
hell no. It's a hell yes and a hell no.
Yes.
So, when all of your listeners are here listening to this and they're saying, okay, well, I'm looking for that next opportunity. And that's what I was doing. I was looking for that next opportunity and to leave a business and not go get a job, but I didn't have any good grades for college. That wasn't even an option. So my mom had actually left the family business earlier on and she started a retail clothing store, but she never made money in it.
Oh.
And then she says, well, why don't you buy it from me? So there's another good thing, like buy a business that lost money for 6 years and actually give them money because it's my mom. And then she's not going to mentor me because she moved out of state. Yeah. So it's like, I know I can
She's
do
like, here, take it. I'm going.
I know I can do anything because I've done everything impossibly, right? And so I got into it and I went, oh my gosh, I love this. I love helping women feel good about themselves. And I get to come in at banker's hours, and just work, my retail hours much better than the office and wear beautiful clothes. And I thought, this is awesome. But, I remember what my dad said to me, and this is really key to all your listeners. You got to make this more than just a hobby. And I was like, oh, I'm going to show you. I'm going to make this successful, not just because of what you just told me. That's just my inspiration to go, because it kind of scared me a little bit, but it's kind of like, yeah, I'm going to prove to myself and him and everybody else that I'm going to make this work. But, when you start a business and you don't know how to make it work, you look around. Now we have mentors. You can go find a mentor. You can go to events. There was nothing like this when I was 30, and I was 30 years old when I did it. My husband at the time said, I'm not going to sign for a loan. You're never going to get that business. And I said, yes, I am, because I've ran this other business. I'm going to go do the business. I got a business loan at 30 years old in the 70s. That's dating me. In the 70s, never having my own business, but part of another business, because I had relationships already with the bankers and people that I work with in the community.
Sure. You also watched your dad apply for loans. So you probably had a little bit of that,
my time.
Like, I'm not gonna stop. Yeah.
That's right. I'm going to find it. Yeah. So I did that. And of course, that was trial husband number one that was gone, after that. Yeah. And they don't believe in you. So
we always learn from the first.
Right. Yes. So I had all these doomsayers around me. So here's the lessons when you're listening to this. Hear what I'm saying, that there's a lot of no's, there's doomsayers, there's starting a business where you don't know anything. But my passion, my drive was so beyond that I was like, okay, where can I go? And when I was going to these apparel shows to buy for my store, I would ask the sales reps. I said, who are some of your best retailers? Hey, can I work your booth? And, 2 days of the show, and I'll just help you in your booth. And I could just talk to them and meet some of them. And they're like, oh, okay. So I started doing that. Just how can I meet people? Right. And so then I got invited to this group called Fashion Alliance that met in Chicago. And everybody in this group had 15 to 30 years experience. I had 6 months of experience. I was clueless. I'd done $100,000 my first year in business. That's gross sales. It's pitiful for a retail store. And I got into this group and I just thought it was going to be a dinner meeting. Carrie, it's like, you ever been to that dinner meeting where it's like having dinner with Oprah and Richard Branson. And,
I'm a little out of my league, but I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I was like, I'm taking notes, and then at the end of the meeting, they said, we'd like you to join. And I'm like, you want me to join this group? You have to have so many years of experience and everything. And then they said, yes, because you're so enthusiastic and we see your vision. We see exactly where you're going. We see that passion. We know you're going to do it because of the drive you have. So again, another lesson I just taught your listeners is you can have enthusiasm and drive and have absolutely no experience, but be in the right group where somebody takes you under their wing. Yes. And I feel that those mentors took me under their wing and allowed me to fly along with them. And years later, Carrie, I look at that now and go, well, that's why I became a mentor. I didn't realize it then, but I took that business from $100,000 to $2.5 million in just 2 years because I just did everything they told me to do.
Unbelievable. And well, so you were a good student, even though maybe, as far as conventional school goes, that wasn't your jam. And right. What I really want people to hear too, Debbie, is that you've created 6, if not more, multi-million-dollar businesses without a college degree. Is that correct?
Correct. Not a day of college.
Okay.
Not a day.
And so for those,
and there wasn't
those people, yeah, who think to themselves, who am I? I don't have the right certification. I don't have the right degree. I need to go back to school. I need to get my master's. I want to just reinforce that when you have a strong vision and the inner knowing that you can bring it to life, it really is about relationships and it is about helping other people see into your vision and believe in your vision. And that's where Debbie, you getting those mentors and then you in return, reciprocity, right, is coming back and teaching other people how to do that. And over the decades, we've seen so many highs and lows in retail, in all different industries, real estate, and yet you continue to grow and stand out as an expert like you teach others to do. Looking back at that time, what would you say are the things that never change? Because right now we could talk about, oh my gosh, social media, you have to use video, you have to do this. But if there was something that you would say, looking at the span of your entrepreneur journey and the multi-million dollar businesses you've grown from different industries, what are the dots that always connected that are tried and true no matter where we are?
Having really good sales and marketing skills. And then, just keeping up on those. Of course, they've changed over the years as we've gotten social media and we've gotten video and other things that let us enhance our business at such reasonable prices versus what we used to pay. I mean, what I would have to pay when I had my stores, I had stores in Indiana and they had stores in Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona. So when I moved to Scottsdale from Indiana, it's like, oh my gosh, what I was paying for advertising. You put up hundreds, thousands of dollars to do your, do your build out, then another 100,000 plus for inventory, and then your advertising. It's very inexpensive to be in business right now, and that's why I wrote that last book, Success is Easy, because we have mentors surrounding us, we have videos surrounding us online. You can start a business for practically nothing now. You can start an online business. Back then, it was having all that inventory and hanging up a shingle. And, so when people think it's business is hard to learn, we're doing, with the video and all the things that you do, it's just like enhances things that are just, and we can reach the world, which instead of a small community.
It really is unbelievable. I mean, when I go back to, I bought my first business at 27, started my first business at 22, but I look at what I had to do. I remember the yellow pages and the commercials and what we would invest in those things. And then, of course, growing up, wanting to be on camera, having to audition for an opportunity to, be visible. And now we have these assets. I think we have $1 million assets at our fingertips, but there's fear and overwhelm, and people are on content overload, content confusion. So one of the things you and I both agree wholeheartedly on is how important it is to position yourself as an expert. Let's talk a little bit about that, because I know that's really your zone of genius, is helping with the positioning. And video allows you to reach millions, but if you're confused with your message, confused with who you are and how you show up in the marketplace, your videos won't really matter, right? So let's talk about that.
We've had that happen. I've had that happen with my own clients. Yeah, I would definitely. First, I'll tell you how I transitioned to that. So, I did about 15 years retail, and I knew as an entrepreneur, you build to sell or you build to magnify. Okay, so now we can magnify.
Okay, wait. Say that one more time.
You build to sell or you build to magnify, or both.
I love that.
I did both when I had the retail stores. I built them from the very beginning to sell, and I built them to magnify multiple locations. And so I'd always had the plan to do that. When I started my first seminar business, it was build it to sell it. Then I started another seminar business, and so I kept that entrepreneurial model of that. And so, I really realized that here's what I was doing is I was teaching people my life's work, and I had started to become an expert speaker in the retail industry, not because I knew there was anything about the speaking business. I didn't know it that, right? I just went to, again, at the trade show, and I would go, why are we not teaching people to be successful? We're just selling them stuff. And you don't have seminars. And then there's like, you could teach that. You've done amazing. I said, I could teach that. You say stuff, Carrie, and then you go, oh. And so it was a big show in Vegas.
What did I just commit to?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a huge show in Vegas that never had seminars. And I said, I'm going to pack the room, standing room only. Yeah, I didn't know how to do that, but I did it. I was on those shuttle buses talking to people, and you're talking Vegas in the morning, right? You can fill that room. You can fill any room. Now we're filling online events the same way. And so, I was realizing that as a speaker, as a consultant, a mentor, all the things that I was doing is I could just turn my expertise and teach people my life's work, teach them how to do what I'm doing, but do it as a true entrepreneur. So you teach them the skills of marketing, selling, and positioning them as an expert. And you said it's like, you can waste a lot of money with puzzle pieces. And sometimes people may come to you too soon, and then they got to redo stuff. And they come to me and they say, I've written this book already. I'm like, well, it doesn't even fit your brand. It doesn't even fit where you should be dominating. Same thing if they shoot a bunch of video, they got to go back in and do it. I mean, video is critical. I mean, it's like the key piece that if you put any website or any landing page together and you add a killer video and showcase it like as beautifully as you do, it just takes it to like this, wow, next level.
Yeah.
to where you look like the true expert. So you can take anybody from an idea. And I know that you've done this. I've done this too. Somebody just has an idea going, hey, I want to create an online business. I want to be an expert. I want to be a speaker. I want to be an author, and I want to have video, and I want to do all these things. But I don't even know what I want to, I don't know how to do that yet. I don't know what my business name would be. I just know we start with the skills. Where are your skill sets? What's your story? That's what you started with me. What is your story? What is your background? And we realize that as we're telling our story, how many skill sets we have just by experiencing life. And we create this wisdom and experiences within us that we can create shortcuts for other people because we've walked that walk already. And you do that as well. And then when you work with enough people and you see how you do this at the level that you do, it just becomes easier. And the people that are looking for professionals that want to get the best of the best are going to go to people like us that say, hey, they've been doing it a while. They're the pros. They're going to give me the best that I can get. And that's going to up me. That's going to get my expertise lifted up faster and higher than I ever would go. So you cut the learning curve and the income curve by 2 to 3 to 4 years within the first year because of how you're positioning the marketplace.
And it really, as crazy as it sounds right now, with everyone being online, we've never had a better opportunity. We've never had more of a captive audience, but there's also a lot of content. So I don't think it's ever been more important to understand where you fit in that landscape and how you are an expert. And Debbie, I would assume, especially with women, that there's some resistance to calling themselves an expert when they are starting a business. We have a lot of people that come to Inspired Living that have had amazing corporate careers, and now they're going off on their own. And that self-critic, that imposter syndrome is real when it comes to crowning themselves an expert and helping them move into more of a specialist. How do you help people overcome that? And do you see that as well?
Well, first of all, it's only real in your head if you tell yourself it's real, because it doesn't exist otherwise. It's not real because everybody has a level of expertise and knowledge that somebody that has not experienced what they've experienced hasn't gone through. So get over yourself and accept yourself as an expert. That's what I say, because it's like,
I love the advice. Look, just get over yourself. Okay.
Yeah. Imposter syndrome is just that word bothers me. I don't know if that's 2 words bother me a lot, because I think it's something that where she can claim it. I could claim it and I could stay in this box. Okay. So get out of the box and say, hey, if you want to make more money, you need to be the expert. Find a place you can dominate and help people. You've walked some kind of walk. You've talked some kind of walk. You've had some kind of experiences. I have clients, Carrie, I have clients that have gone through, they're brilliant people. One of my new clients, she was actually had gone through college, had a brilliant medical career, and she met the wrong man at the wrong time in her life. She was always like this perfect, pageant beauty queen, never got in trouble, got with the wrong guy, got on drugs. And, she's in the medical field, right? You never think that she got on drugs so bad that she just messed her whole life up. And then from being on drugs, she was in a car accident, which killed somebody, and she went to prison. And
oh
now,
my gosh.
Yeah. So when she's in prison with the little pencils, she's writing a book. Okay. So I go, no excuses, right? She said, I am here to change other people's lives. And so now she wrote the book. It's fabulous. And now she wants to be a speaker and a coach for basically what she does, what she's experienced is resilience. No matter what happens to you, and you can turn your life around, you can get rid of the stories in your head that you're not worthy of this or whatever you've experienced, and you can help other people. Because I think that, the heavens above, whatever you believe in, it puts you through experiences, good or bad, to give you the lessons that you need to teach others. And we're all teachers. And so when I say get over yourself, it's bigger than you. When you step into the world of an expert, you step in the world to serve, and selling is service. And it's like you serve other people to support them, to shortcut their lives. And that's what I had in my life. So many different, started with that first fashion group, but since then, many, many mentors, personal development mentors as well. I mean, I had to do the deep inner work. Otherwise, I would have went and felt the same way you just said. Somebody saying imposter syndrome. I had to do the personal development work along with the business work to be able to support people. Because most of my clients, I will tell you that I believe in them often. I will believe in them more than they believe in themselves at the beginning. And I said, I can see your vision. I can see where you're going. I can take you there if you believe in yourself enough to be coachable. And so that is good. Good comment you said, because you got to get past that or you're not coachable.
Right. Well, there's a couple of things that I just want to reiterate. And you said, your vision is so much bigger than you. It's not about you. And that is the same thing. I think that's why I think deep down we are soul sisters in the universe, Debbie. Like we are so aligned because I'm sitting here like shouting in my head, yes, because video's not about you either. And yet
Right.
when we make it about us, we stay small, we question. But when you're really committed to showing up and serving people, and by serving, by the way, that is selling because they can't get a result without what it is that you offer. There's no shame or need to be wrong with that. It really is amazing what impact you can have and what income you can drive through you understanding that one thing in your life, that it's so much bigger than you. And I just love that so much. And I think we have to remember that if you have a vision, if you have a calling, like you said, you had such a big vision and other people believed in that with you. When you have that resilience and you have that passion, and then the story for being an expert, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this too. I think people often see like there's a huge gap, like they have to be here and the person that they're reaching is here. But in my experience, Debbie, we only have to be like 2 steps ahead of someone to be someone that they seek out to help them get there themselves. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that there's such a disparity between what they think an expert is, but it's just someone who knows a little bit more than the person they're trying to reach.
Right. And if they know a lot more, they can a lot of the steps and they're really intuitive and seeing that vision strategically for them, you're worth more money. So, you got to start somewhere. Yeah. So some coaches start at the beginning and they don't ask a lot of money, but they're 2 steps ahead or 3 steps ahead. And then they get better and they get better at coaching and they get better at working with people. And same with me. It's like, one of the things very similar to you, what you do with the videos, because I work with a lot of video companies and be in the room with my clients. And then they freeze, they see the little red light and oh my gosh, I'm trying to memorize it. And you turn into a robot all of a sudden,
Yes. Oh, yes.
You have to get them out of that space and make them feel comfortable. And I do the same thing when I'm teaching people to speak and sell. Even if they can tell their story and then they go into selling and they turn into this like weird person. Like, wait a minute. No, stop. What are you doing? Or they tell their story for 10 minutes. I'm like, you only have 20 minutes and you haven't told us anything yet. And it's like, or they're just stiff with it because they've been trying to memorize. I'm like, no. Stop where you're at right now. You don't need notes because they'll try to have notes on the side. Yes. Like I'm sure they do that with you too. Like I got to have these.
I mean, we have the same clients, Debbie.
Yeah, exactly. Put those notes away. Put them over here. Okay. Now take your head and connect it to your heart. Okay. Are you there? Now just speak to us. You know the story. You've lived the story. You have the expertise. You have the knowledge. Just share from here and here. And then this transformation, like you've seen it too. Just like, oh my gosh, there's the
time
person.
And time again.
Authentic.
Yep. Get out of your head and into your heart.
Mm-hmm. Right. And we can do that magic because we've worked with people and know how to tap into that for them. And that's a piece is that we're coaching them. As I'm coaching them to be speakers and speak and sell, you're coaching them to be on video and how to tap in to be there and be their authentic self, because we do turn into these weird robots when we're not comfortable.
I'm like, it's like the exorcist comes and like takes over, right? And I'm like, where did you go? And absolutely, I can tell in a split second if someone's in their head or they're connected in their heart. And it really is just a shift of understanding who you're speaking to. And that's a whole nother thing we can talk about. But when you are coaching people, Debbie, where are most people coming into you? Like, where are they at in their life and business when they normally start working with you?
A lot of them are starting, brand new coaching businesses. So they've come from the corporate world and now they say, I even have doctors, I have a fat loss doctor that wanted to take his local business online. I have an anesthesiologist that wanted to teach doctors how to overcome stress and anxiety. And there's all kinds of a burnout that happens. And so she became a speaker in that, a very, very good speaker. And I have another one, young gentleman that came from the HR background, corporate background. He thought, hey, I built those businesses. I can do this. He hit the ground running, 100 miles an hour. And other people come to me where they've already written a book, they've already been a speaker, and they need to reinvent because they don't know how to do this online. Carrie, how many times you've even had to pivot in your business. I had it nailed. Like I can go on a stage and I can close multiple 6 figures with even a small group of people. But then when I had to take it online, I'm like, yeah, I can close, but can I close like that? How much money am I going to lose? That goes in your head right away. Like I got that figured out, but then it pivoted and I have to go over here. And it doesn't matter what age or how long you've been in the business, is you have to be one of the first to pivot when you're the experts. And that's why you have to be adaptable. Yeah, you really do. You can't just say, "Hey, I'm the expert now. Let's check that off." And I'm not, I'm not continuing to read or update. You're continually hiring other mentors. And again, during that time, I think I hired 3 mentors. They were just 2 steps ahead of me. But in those two
Yep.
steps, if they could teach me one thing when you already have a level of expertise will be thousands. Like your return on investment is huge. And I always think people have to look at that return on investment. Why would you open up a business and then just think, I'm going to sign up for everything free or invest in the little things and a bunch of puzzle pieces or somebody that does video halfway versus go all in? It is a business. And that is a great return on investment because you're going to show up like $1,000,000 and you're going to get there
That's
better,
right.
faster. Yeah. With their website, their books, their videos, everything.
Yeah, I think, it all comes down to just understanding who you are, what you have to share. I mean, the modality, the medium in which you do it is always going to change. Social media is going to continue to change. I think obviously video is here to stay. That's not going anywhere. We're going to open up. We're going to be back on stages again. But I think it's
Mm-hmm.
important as an entrepreneur that you look at the buckets and you look at all the different areas and we don't put all of our eggs in one basket. We don't say, "Hey, I'm just going to do virtual events from now on," or "I'm just going to do this." I think it is in all the interviews I've had with really successful entrepreneurs, it has been about being adaptable and really meeting people where they're at. And there's always this authenticity piece of showing up as their true self. And I think, Debbie, that's one thing I've really admired about you and everything that I've seen is that you love big and you play big and you support people in a way that sometimes they really need that little push. And I will say mentorship in
Mm-hmm.
my life has been instrumental. I cannot imagine. I had to lose a business before I understood what it meant to get a mentor, but I could never imagine my life without one. And you said something really powerful too. And you said you had to do a lot of personal development work. And I did the same. And it wasn't like a very blatant choice. It was like it all happened. It was very divine, I think, at the moment, but it allowed me to step into, I say, version 5.0 of Carrie. I don't know what she's going to continue to be, but I go back to that because I think all the listeners right now, you listening right now, you have a big vision on your heart or else you wouldn't be listening. And you are driven to make a difference. You want to build a platform, but it all starts with believing that you can, because you can hire the best mentors on the planet. But if there's a lack of belief or knowing, I don't think we can ever really truly fulfill what it is that we see for ourselves.
Most definitely. And it does change what we want for ourselves. You're all about inspired living, and inspired
Yeah.
living means different things at different times in our life. I've for the last, 4 or 5 years, it's been about business lifestyle and creating that to say yes and no to the opportunities I want because I made the money. And it's like, okay, say yes and no to the clients I want. When they're not the right fit, I bless and release because if they're not coachable, I can't help them. So, sometimes it's not a release. You just bless and move on versus.
Bless and release.
Yeah, everybody loves that. Yeah, it's so true. I've done that many times. I know when it happened. And I even had, regular clients that followed me for years. And then they were kind of hard, not coachable. Like, well, I got to write the book first and then I'll do this VIP day with you. I'm like, no, you can't do that because then you don't have a business plan for the book, Well, I really got a vision on this and I want to get it done. And she said, just, I'm just going to cancel it now. I said, wait, you've postponed your VIP day 3 times now. And if you postpone it again, I will have to decide if I'm going to bless and release you completely or let you
Right.
come back in and I'll pay you full price because you got this at a deal when you bought it. And she's just scared, like, what, you'd bless and release me after all these years? I'm like, well, yeah, because you're not being coachable. And I know I can help you and I want you to listen to me. So yeah, she signed up for it and she's like ready to go, because it was just driving her, making
Yeah,
excuses.
sometimes we just need that little push because we're too stuck in fear. And when we're stuck in fear, we don't move. And we think sometimes like we think we know what we need, but that's why you hire help, and you hire
Mhm.
mentors because like you said, I think one of the things I love most is seeing the possibility of people, seeing like what is capable for themselves. And Les Brown says a quote, I say it all the time. He says, "You can't see the frame when you're in the picture."
Right.
And I
Very
love that
true.
so much because we can't see when we're so in it. And Debbie, I know you do an
Mhm.
amazing job helping people through that. So, what are three? We've given so many gems. Oh my gosh. I hope everyone is so excited and writing down copious notes or going to go back and take notes. But what would you say are the top 3 things right now? Because again, you have an expansive background and you've built multiple multi-million dollar businesses. What are 3 things that someone can take and implement right now to help grow their business or to help step into their expertise?
I'm going to take what you just said, get out of that frame because when you're
Mm,
stuck in the frame, you can't see it. And when we went into the financial crisis of 2008, I couldn't see it. It's like, wow, I'm one of the top 3% women speakers in the world as far as income, and what am I going to do? And there was no business as far, especially a high fee speaker. I was a one trick pony then. I mean, I've been in this professional speaking business 25 years, and I went international. And I pivoted completely. And then when I was international, 28 countries, I pivoted again, learned how to speak and sell. I wasn't doing that before. You got to look around. You got to get out of that picture frame. You got to look around and see what everybody else is doing. Where's the money? Where's the opportunities that are happening? As a sharp entrepreneur, you're pretty easy about pivoting and paying attention. But when the 2008 economic crash happened, there was just no way you couldn't look outside the frame except out of your country.
See.
Yeah, so I went internationally.
That was so smart. You went international.
Yeah, I went internationally and then completely changed my business, changed my business model completely because
Now, how did you do that? That sounds I went international. I mean, how did you do that?
So that's what we do what you think you can't even do. That'd be another one, right? Do what other people aren't doing, as everybody was crying for business, so I would just say, okay, contact a business, a big company in Australia. Australia was still cooking because they were doing business in Australia. We were in the financial crisis, and the US hit super hard and it went for years. And so I would contact somebody in Australia and say, oh, hey, I started, and my niche was still retail then. I'm going to be at this I'll help you be at this conference. If you'd only be there, I'm going to be in Australia. I could waive my travel fees, and then I'd get that booking. Then I'd get another booking. Then I get another booking because I'm here.
Now, were you going to be at the conference, or did you?
I wasn't going to be in Australia. I did a whole world tour in New Zealand I did an event in New Zealand with 0 people on a database list because I wanted to spend a month in New Zealand. So I just went around.
It is beautiful.
Everywhere. And then I sold tickets to come to the event. And then when they got to the event, I sold them a coaching program. But it was really scary to sign that agreement to know I'm going to have to fill a room in a hotel, a nice, classy hotel in Auckland, New Zealand. So, I just do stuff. I think that's the thing is do what you're afraid to do. Step out of your comfort zone and do it. I always look at the worst. Here's another point. Look at the worst case scenario. Okay, what's the worst case scenario? I'm not going to lose everything. I'm not going to lose it all. I'd figure it out. Maybe I lost some money. Maybe I lost some time. Maybe I even lost my house. I've done that. I've gone through a period where I've risked it. I've lost my house because I did real estate investing. At the same time I was doing this, I had fix and flips going everywhere and had leveraged my house, and I had another business partner running that. And I love real estate, do that on the side. But I've lost it and I built it again. It's like get completely naked on an island and you can still make it. You're not going to change what's here, right? You still got it.
So true. Yeah.
And then you're getting another lesson to share with people. If you can't be on the same level, like, Carrie, you've been through, like you said, you lost a business. And when you have
lost it all.
Yeah, because it's great to say from a mentor, hey, you're so successful. That's why I want it, but I can't relate to you or you're too intimidating. I've been there. I've walked in your shoes. I've done it because I've taken risks. And when I say get over yourself, get on with it, you got to take risks. That's what true entrepreneurs do. That's how they get ahead. And some work amazingly and some don't. But every time you fail, it's just a lesson to get you that much closer to the next thing.
I just want the person right now that needs to hear that one more time, that, failure is nothing to fear. Like every single entrepreneur, I don't care who it is, from Richard Branson to Debbie Allen, like everyone fails along the way because you take risks. And without risk, you all hear it, there is no reward, but it's all learning. It's all getting you one step closer. And it was funny, when I was spending this last weekend with my family, Debbie, we were talking about my journey and how, looking back, there's got to be something bigger than me in the world, because the dots were so perfectly aligned to bring me to this place that I am. And there were huge failures and adversity along the way. And we were saying, are you really grateful? Were you grateful when you were going through all the hard stuff? I'm like, yes, I think I've always lived with a grateful heart, but I think that's important, that no matter where you are right now, as we're moving in through this year and things are opening up, that you find a place of gratitude for what brought you to where you are and what's going to continue to bring you forward. Because I promise you, if you keep moving forward, you will see how the dots so perfectly connected for you through all the failures and challenges that you've had. And so to look at them as stepping stones to where it is that you're going next, and to get rid of this fear of having to get it right, because no one starts a business knowing how it's going to go. Sarah Blakely, I love her story too. There's just so many.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have to take the risk. And I guess I said, well, I always think of the worst case scenario. And then I go, can I deal with that? Then I think the most likely case scenario, like the thing you want to have. Okay. So some people like, I want to make $1 million. Okay. Well, that's not a realistic likely scenario. If you're making 50,000 a year and you want to make $1 million, but usually you're in the middle. You end up not the worst case, not the most likely case, the best case. You're somewhere in the middle the majority of time. And if you can think that when you take a risk, and weigh all of that. And that's also something I talk about in my book, Success is Easy, about how you take risks. And I've always done that. And it helps me to say, I can make that decision now versus being frozen in fear.
You just analyze. Yeah. What's the worst case scenario? What's the best case scenario? And what if I land in the middle? Not too shabby, I would say. Still awesome. Still awesome. All right, Debbie, how do people get a hold of you? How do they connect with you if they want to learn more?
I'll give you 2 websites. I have my main site is debbieallen.com. And you think, well, how did I get that over that choreographer, right? I've had that.
And that's exactly right. Yeah. I grew up loving dance. So
yeah. And I had a Google, the Google search came up on today, the Google alert, because I was on the top 10 business books to read today that came out on a Google alert, which was really cool. So one of my books is A Highly Paid Expert. You're behind me. And my newest book is Success is Easy, which was Entrepreneur Magazine that voted me top 10 business books to read this year. And so
congratulations.
Thank you. That just came out of nowhere. So, and also my Highly Paid Expert workshop, I only do it once a year virtually. That's coming up. And then I also do it once a year live, which will actually be live this year in Scottsdale, Arizona. So that's highlypaidexpertworkshop.com. So those 2 websites pretty much tell you what I'm doing, mostly where I can best serve you. And gosh, Carrie, we're going to work together and send some business.
I'm thinking that live event, I might need to be there, Debbie.
You need to be there.
I think I might need to be there.
Yeah. All right. That's in Scottsdale. It's not far. We'd love to have you. I'll give you a nice VIP pass.
All right.
Great.
All right. You are just, gosh, I could talk to you for hours. So much wisdom, so much insight. You said at different points of your life, inspired living means different things. What does that mean to you right now?
Well, I said it's been working on the business lifestyle, but now it's even more of a business lifestyle than even before. I decided to take 2 months and rent a house in Hawaii, in Maui this summer, and work remotely. And I've never taken that much time remotely, even though I traveled 3 years remotely. So I'm like, what? It's been, I like thinking about that. I'm like, wait, I did a 3-year world tour. It doesn't matter where you're at in the world. I think I'm at the point in my life too, where I will never stop being creative. I'm actually thinking on book number 10 right now, which will probably start writing.
Book number 10.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah. It's like birthing babies. I never had a baby, so I just have like 10 children.
So great.
It's doing what you want to do, and it's still making a difference. I'm never going to stop making a difference until they kick that old lady off the stage and say, send her home. It's like, I still got a stage right here. I could be,
That's
at home.
Right.
Sitting in bed and doing this, it's like, it's just a great way. But again, I love making a difference in people's lives, and that inspires me, and that'll always keep me inspired. And entrepreneurs just never stop working because I find a way to be creative and give back.
Yes. Well, I just adore you, Debbie. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you for being such a light in the world. And, I will tell you that, the work that you do in your life is so profound and it's so inspiring. And those 10 books and whatever book you create next, is going to consistently impact lives, for a very long time. So thank you so much for being on the show today.
It's been my pleasure.
You've just heard another uplifting episode of Inspired Living with Carrie Murphy, the podcast. I hope you loved it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. And if you'd like to know more about Inspired Living or to get your hands on many of our awesome free resources, such as the Be Studio Ready Guide, simply visit us at inspiredliving.tv/podcast. Remember, your vision is your destiny, and we're here to help you bring it to life. Join me again next week for another extraordinary episode.